Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is the Lollipop and you guessed it, we have another 2024 Trek Marlin bike to go over, but this time it's the 2024 Trek Marlin 7 Gen 3. In this video I'll compare and contrast all of the parts and features of the 2023 Marlin 7 with this new 2024 version, so you can decide which bike is the best for you and your budget. As always, if you haven't seen my video on the 2023 Trek Marlin 6, definitely check that out if you want more details on the brand new Trek Marlin Gen 3 bikes. But for this video, I'll go over every single detail that has been updated for the Marlin 7 Gen 3 in 2024, and I'll complete this table to highlight all of those changes in the end while I talk about my personal thoughts on the new bike. So stick around to see these updates, and please consider subscribing to my channel, clicking the bell icon, and liking this video if you enjoy. Okay, quick background, the Marlins are entry-level mountain bikes from Trek, but can be used as durable commuter bikes as well, since the frames on these bikes have mounts for a kickstand and a rear rack. The Marlin 7 is one of the higher-end Marlins available, so it's definitely up there in price, but also gives you a lot for that money. For this comparison video, I'm only going to talk about the parts on this bike that have been updated for the new Marlin, so if I don't discuss a specific component in this video like the frame or the brakes for example, it means that those parts are the exact same ones found on the 2023 version of the Marlin 7. The new Marlin 7 still uses the Gen 3 Marlin frame that the 2023 bike uses, and I covered all the details on this frame in my Marlin 6 video mentioned before, so check that out once again. But for this comparison, the first difference we have between the model years is the price. The 2023 bike currently retails for $1,000 at the time of me making this video, but unfortunately this bike has not been fully released yet, so I don't have the official pricing of it. I'll add a comment below once it does become available, but my best guess would be that it will cost somewhere around $1,300 based on the new parts that have been upgraded on it. But for our first fun update, we have some really cool color changes. So as a refresher, the 2023 Gen 3 bike came in 3 colors, which were this teal to nautical navy fade, the color azure, and galactic gray. The new bike now has 3 new colors, which are Keswick, which has some nice tan wall tires on it, Pennyflake, which is a nice copper color, and Crystal White, which does have some sparkle accents on the black Trek logo there. Alright, but now let's go over the part changes, starting with some of the smaller updates. So the 2023 bike is available in sizes extra small to extra large, but the new bike now adds an extra small size, so even more size options, which is good. And if you've seen my other videos on the 2024 Marlins, you will know that Trek is swapping out the infamously uncomfortable Bontrager Arvada seat to the Bontrager Verse short saddle that will provide better comfort while still being supportive enough for mountain biking. Okay, but for the bigger changes, the first one is to the suspension fork, which is a RockShox Judy coil spring fork on the 2023 model, but has been upgraded to the RockShox Judy silver fork on the 2024 Marlin, which uses an air spring so it is lighter and more adjustable for your rider weight. This fork also has a rebound adjustment knob to adjust how quickly the fork bounces back from a hit. But besides that, both forks still have 30mm wide upper stanchions, use a quick release axle, and have 100mm of suspension travel in most frame sizes. This is definitely a good fork upgrade for this bike and is actually the same fork we see on the Marlin 8. The next change is to the tires, which is interesting since Trek just released some brand new Bontrager XT3 tires that they equip on the 2023 versions of the Gen 3 Marlins, but now they're switching these out for the Maxxis Ardent tires, which is actually an upgrade since the new tires are now tubeless ready, and they are also 60 TPI instead of 30 TPI, which means that the tires are higher quality and more flexible on terrain. They kept the same width for the tires at 2.4 inches wide, which is good for stability, and I will mention that the tires on the Keswick frame color bike specifically are tan walls, so they're not fully black, which is a cool touch if you're into that. And one final big thing to note is that the new bike now comes fully tubeless setup from the store, so there are no inner tubes, which means less risk of flats, and you can run lower pressures in your tires to improve grip on the trail. And once again, you may notice that these tires are the same ones on the Trek Marlin 8 as well. Alright, if you're seeing the pattern, you'll know that the next change we have is to the seat post, which has been changed from the Bontrager alloy fixed post to a Trans X JD dropper post, the same one on the Marlin 8. Dropper posts are much better for mountain biking than fixed seat posts since they allow you to push a lever on the handlebar and drop that seat down low, so you can get some better balance on your bike in rougher trail situations. So this is definitely a big upgrade for this 2024 Marlin 7. And the final change we have to the new bike is the drivetrain, which has been changed from the Shimano Dior 1x10 drivetrain with 10 speeds on the 2023 bike to a SRAM SX Eagle 1x12 drivetrain with 12 speeds. 12-speed drivetrains are the standard for high-end mountain bikes these days, so this is definitely a good upgrade, but as I have mentioned in the past, the SRAM SX Eagle is the lowest-end mountain biking drivetrain that the company SRAM offers, and that does unfortunately mean that a lot of the components in this drivetrain are heavy, made from much less durable materials, and overall just don't feel as high quality. They get the job done if everything is set up right, and you can definitely ride the bike for a while before needing to replace parts, but from my experience, the Shimano Dior is more reliable and better built. However, let's take a quick look at the specifics and go over my thoughts on each of them now. For the shifters, the 2023 Marlin uses a Shimano Dior M40-100 shifter that is pretty well built and reliable, and this one lets you shift up to 3 gears at once when shifting to an easier gear for pedaling. The SRAM shifter is not as high quality in my opinion, but it does give you the ability to shift up to 5 gears at once when going to an easier gear, which is an advantage since you can more quickly change gears to an easier speed to climb up a hill or something like that. Neither bike has a front derailleur, which is a good thing for mountain biking, but in terms of the rear derailleur, the Dior on the 2023 bike is definitely higher quality, more durable, and more reliable, since the SX Eagle derailleur is known to have issues with shifting and tends to break more easily. You can definitely use this SRAM derailleur on the bike and don't have to replace it right away, but just keep that in mind that you will likely have to replace it at some point, whereas the Shimano should last a long time. The cranksets are pretty similar, but the SRAM does have more teeth on the gear, which just means that it'll have harder gears for going faster on the bike than on the 2023 Marlin 7. And for the cassettes, the new bike definitely has a wider range with 12 speeds instead of 10, and it has a 50-tooth mega cog at the top for easy climbing on steep hills. So overall, the SRAM SX Eagle drivetrain beats out the Dior by a little bit in terms of gear ratios, though I will note that both bikes are almost identical in terms of how easy it is to climb uphill with them. Alright, but finally we have the weight differences. So the 2023 Marlin 7 weighs 32.19 pounds on average in a size medium, while the new bike now weighs 32.74 pounds with tubeless sealant installed. So although the tubeless sealant is actually lighter than having inner tubes and the air suspension is lighter than the coil spring, I guess the added weight of the dropper post and the heavier SRAM drivetrain do make this bike heavier overall than the older Marlin 7. But that is it for this video, everyone. Here is the completed table to highlight all of these new changes. And now that you're seeing everything at once, you can totally see that this new Marlin 7 seems pretty familiar. And that's because it is almost identical to the 2023 Trek Marlin 8 Gen 3. The only things that Trek has changed from the Marlin 8 to this new Marlin 7 are the colors, the seat, and the number 7 on the frame. But otherwise, this is the exact same bike as the Marlin 8, and that also explains my reasoning for why I estimated the price of the new bike to be around $1,300, since that is what the Marlin 8 retails for currently. I still wanted to make this video so I could compare the like-for-like bikes, and so you could see what changes if you had the 2023 Marlin 7 and want the 2024. But yeah, basically a recolored Marlin 8 here, which is interesting since now the Marlin 8 has to be upgraded even more to make it honestly way too expensive for a Marlin in my opinion, but maybe Trek won't even release a new version of the Marlin 8 this year, so I'll keep an eye out, but watch my channel for any updates on that new Marlin 8. For the Marlin 7, I think these upgrades are great to get a dropper post and a 1x12 drivetrain, even if it is the lower end SRAM SX Eagle, but I'm assuming the cost of this bike will also significantly go up, so this isn't really a cool change or anything since you've seen this bike before, but hey, still a good bike overall if you want a very high-end Marlin. Alright, besides that, thank you all for watching this morning. I hope all of you have a wonderful day today. Feel free to leave any questions or comments down below, and I'll try to get to all of them. Stay safe out there, and remember to keep biking.